You know what they say, better late than never, right? We have got a great opportunity for you today. Eve Miller, what are you going to teach us?
We're going to look at 10 basic steps for success to pastels, beginning with what is referred to as an underpainting. It's a setup. There's various techniques that we can use to facilitate our success. It's going to be fun to me, it has to be fun when we're painting. So this is part of the process, my process for sure, that sets us up for success.
Okay, question for you. Now,
Sure.
If I'm not a pastel painter, are these 10 steps going to work for me?
I think so. Yes, absolutely.
Oh, what is it? Do you think so or you know so, Eve? What's the deal here?
Well, the deal is that you have to have a good reference photo if you're going to use a reference photo and you're not doing plein air. So we can talk about that another time.
All right.
And then you need to set yourself up with 3 to 5 basic shapes, period.
Okay, well, we'll show you how to do that in a minute. We'll get this show officially started. We'll be right back with Eve.
It's Art School Live with Eric Rose.
Welcome today. We are with Eve Miller. She's going to be giving us some steps, 10 steps to make a better painting. You're going to have a really great time. She's a rock star painter. As a matter of fact, we should show you some of what she's got right now. She does beautiful artwork, as you can see, and she's doing this in pastel. I think pastel is one of the great things to learn as a beginning artist, because other things are harder. I mean, it's all hard. I don't want to soft pedal this. You know, learning to paint isn't easy, but we can teach anybody to paint. It's fun. It's going to be great. And one thing nice about pastels, like you used to play with chalk when you were a kid, this is not chalk. This is high pigment in a stick, but you can draw. And so Eve's going to show you a little bit how to do that in her 10 steps. And so let's get over to Eve right now and see if she's ready to go. She's got her easel set up. Okay, Eve, we're zooming in. That's nice. Okay, tell us what your surface is here.
It's a sanded substrate. I just want to make sure that we can all see this.
That's there. It's a little, bring it up a little bit. There we go. Right there. Stop.
Okay, good. Okay. So this is a sanded substrate. Now, anytime I use liquids, I always have a mounted substrate so that it doesn't buckle. And our first step is we have to know what we're going to paint and why. And one of the things I keep on my easel, which is above this, is the word intention. I like to have some goal so I know where I'm going. And in that vein, I set up a map using these techniques. There's various techniques to set myself up to respond to what I see. So the very first thing I did in this particular process is I put red light acrylic Liquitex. Let me show you what that is. It's a polymer. It comes in a tube. It's not expensive. You mix it with water to the consistency of, say, batter, like a pancake batter. And I put it on here to eliminate, if it's white, to eliminate the white, or to eliminate, in this case, it's a light beige.
All right. And well, I'm confused because the tube you're holding is bright red and your panel is not. How'd you do that?
I put it in this cup, and as soon as you see, this is still pretty much the color in the cup of the tube. But once it dries lighter like watercolor.
Okay.
And therefore I make it darker because I know it's going to dry lighter. And what I'm going to do is I have this set up. So here's my first step. Okay. I got a reference photo of a scene I love, a scene that I know very well. That helps. I put it in black and white. And sometimes I go to an app called the Notinizer, which brings everything to 2 values rather than what I use, which would be 3 or 4. So I then block this in. And I'm going to get back to this, but I'd like to show everyone how I set this up, because you don't need to do all the other things that I'm going to be showing you today. You can just use this in pastels and have some of this pigment, this reddish orange warm pigment, come through, and that makes your painting much more harmonious. And so if I'm going to put this one vertical, I'm sorry, I'll leave it horizontal. It's all set up for that. So what I'm doing is on this sanded substrate that's mounted, I'm going to add this, and I'm just going to show, I did the other one like baking ahead of time, so it's dry. But so I just take a brush. This brush is a old rosemary brush. So it's a nice brush, but it's had seen better days. So I mixed it all up, and all I'm going to do is the same way that I learned watercolor. I pick up the bead. So I start on one side and I go across, and then I'll pick up the bead. That means I start from the left. There's a little bit of liquid and I pick that up. What I'm looking for is integration. I want a nice gradient, not lines necessarily. I would prefer it be like this so that it has a nice base. It's not all, and if it drips, it drips. But in this case, I'm more interested in getting a nice gradient of a warm base so that when I add, if my process, and I use different processes every day, but because I'm committed to a daily painting, I post online every day. So I have to alter what I'm doing to keep myself entertained and everybody else. That said, you can see there's a drip there, not the end of the world. I'm not going to panic. I'm just going to pick it up and keep going. And when I get to the bottom, it dries quickly. And if I'm in a hurry, I can use the hair dryer or put it out in the sun. If I'm doing plein air, I already have it done. I would bring it with me in a smaller version. So this keeps going to the end, and then it dries a little lighter. And then I can add things to it. I can add, in this case, what I'm going to show you today, I'm going to show you the simplest way that I would use this. And it's for one success in the sense that if you pick your 3 to 5 big shapes, so you have a sky 1, you have a tree line that we're not going to call a tree line 2, you have an actual tree 3, you have the midground, which in the background are all the same, so that's 1 value, that's 4, and then the foreground where it's warmer and you have more texture, that would be 5. And that's how I work it. So you see this beautiful, this came out great. It's a beautiful gradient of a warm. And this is what I'm going to use. It didn't have that little dot, but I'm okay with it. Whatever comes, we work with it. So the next thing I would do for success is I use my harder pastels to block in the 3 to 5 big shapes. So here's an example of, I wrote it down, but you you can just write it down if you want. These are the colors that I use in the hard NuPastels when I block in. And I leave messages for myself, squint, my intention, look for all these art things. But for us today, we're concentrating on a block-in. So I can use 244 Blue Violet or 306 Orchid Pink. And or I'm responding to what I see as I'm painting. So I may use 254 Violet or 212 Orange or the darkest green, which is number 305. And all
so what are these numbers? Where do these numbers come from?
Sure. Prismacolor NuPastels are the hard pastels, not particular. Sometimes I use Rembrandt, but I don't use my softest pastels.
I see. So these are numbers of a particular brand.
Exactly, because people think that if they have that, it makes the magic. The magic is the magic is actually putting it all together and responding and having feelings, emotions. So the first thing I do once I have my board, the very first thing I do is take my pencil, a regular number 2 pencil, and I put a dot in the middle to remind myself not to paint anything of importance, no focal points, no big shapes in the middle, vertically or horizontally. Then I eyeball these tick marks. I don't use a grid. I never have. That doesn't mean I wouldn't, but I just eyeball these tick marks because I'll say to myself, okay, I'm looking at this reference. If it's going to be a high horizon, that means that it's about the land, which I particularly like because I can add all kinds of textures. That said, if it's a low horizon, it's about the sky. So I could do beautiful sunsets or clouds, whatever. For us today, I'm going to do this particular landscape beginning of. That's what I'm doing, showing my process for success at the beginning. So far we have a board that doesn't buckle with a warm, this is an underpainting. Anything I'm putting under the actual painting. So I then proceed to my 3 to 5 big shapes. Prior to this, I have already done the work of, I use thumbnails, which are those little drawings that show the 3 to 5 shapes. And I paint from the value sketch. So I'm looking at my black and white here on my board. Or I'm looking at the notanizer I printed off the app, which shows me the darkest darks, the mid-tones, and the lights. So I'm going to eyeball a high horizon. And so I'm looking at my tick marks, and I'd say it's a little less than the 3/4. And I am at an angle here, so it's okay if it's not straight, because I'm always going to add pastels later. And that's my horizon. I have a shape that comes a little bit lower over here, and there's some kind of a dark mass in here. And then I had decided that in this section will be my focal area, my darkest dark versus, next to my lightest light. And then there's a shape over here that is nice coming down into a diagonal that takes over here. I'm not trying to put any details. I'm just doing my 3 to 5 big shapes. And it may be a little lower. And it looks like this is almost like an arrow pointing you in the right direction to here. So what I'm looking for is direction for you guys watching, that you'll end up in my focal area. And there's some darker. I live on the coast of Georgia, and the marshes is one of the things I love and paint and know quite well. So I know that in here there might be some water, only because I live here. Okay, and then that's all I'm going to do with the pencil. But to dilute the NuPastels, I have to put them down. So I'm going to put and I pick arbitrarily my intuition, how I feel. I go warm and cool, light and dark. So this is my darkest darks. I'll put that in first. I don't put it very, very heavy. You can hear it. I like to hear the sound. This is a new pastel, so it's a little scratchy, but that's okay. And what I also like about the underpainting, it helps with edges. It softens the edges. You can hear that. So you know it's not really a deep, heavy hand. It's not my lightest hand, which I save for the softest top layer. And I just keep going, usually in the direction of the growth of whatever this is. And I just am putting it in here. And I know this is my dark. Now, anything that's vertical is going to be the darkest. So I know that my, quote, tree line, this shape is going to be quite dark, and this is going to be dark. So that's why I'm using, this is the blue violet, 244. And then a little bit, here's a little bit of darkness. Here's a little lighter. And then in here, I don't have to make, I could continue with this, and that's fine. But I do know that in the landscape and what I'm seeing is green. So I can play the complementary game too and put a little bit of this or the pink.
What
which,
Eve is referring to as complementaries is complementary colors. And so that means if you are on the color wheel, you have a color exactly opposite. So if it were red, then you'd do green. That's the complementary color. I just need to explain these things, Eve, so people understand for the newbies who are coming in.
Eric, I like it. Thank you. So I'm not putting a red. I'm putting a pinkish. I'm putting the orchid. And I'm just going to put where I think I might be able to respond to this. And if I put it in one place, I have to put it someplace else for balance. In this section, based on what I saw, it's more of a what lies underneath the, these are dry weeds and reeds and things that come up during low tide. So I'm putting in the orange. Again, didn't have to do all that. Could have just stayed with the dark or any other color. But this way I have it set up to be light, medium, and darks. And then once that's set up, and you see it doesn't take much time, I go to my trusty plain old gesso. Again, mixed like I did the acrylic. I just put some water with it, and I mixed it to batter consistency. And my brush for
what
this.
What kind of gesso? What, not brand, but what?
Plain.
What?
Oh, clear.
Clear gesso.
No texture. Some of them
Okay.
come white gesso. They come textured clear, which is a wonderful product, but not for what I'm doing. I like to just use clear, plain old gesso. We have a store called Pop Shelf, $1 a container. Whatever's on sale, it's nothing special. It's just gesso. Okay. So I dip it, and all I do is, and I have some water to clean my brush. I usually start with my lightest lights because it'll combine, and it doesn't make mud. It just may not go where I want it to go. So I'm going to just start with the pink, and then I'll move to the orange and then do my darkest dark. I am not putting anything on the sky. Why? The simplest way I know how to do a sky, which is I also call a gradient sky, I know that at the very top, it'll be the darkest blue. Then comes a teal, a turquoisey color. Then comes a yellow. Then a peachy pink. And then at the horizon, which is called the dirty horizon, we have purple, red, violet. Purple it's got some red in it. And if I pick all the same values in that section, I should have a believable sky for success. So I don't want to add, from experience, I know I don't want to start putting anything that I'm going to dilute. I don't need to do that. And then everything is balanced in the end because I will have a beautiful, soft, believable sky. And in the front, I will have some warm. And I, as who I am, I add texture as much as I can. So I'm going to the pink, and all I'm going to do is put my brush on its side. And it's a number 6 snap by Princeton, which means nothing. It's just the number 6 is what I'm looking for. And I like hair on it, so that I move the hair, not so much the gestural of my arm, but the hair of the brush. And I just keep going and dilute it. So then when I get further down, if it mixes a little bit with that blue violet, it becomes a luscious purple. So I'm just cleaning my brush, going back in.
So there's a question, what's the function of the gesso? Couldn't you do the same thing with alcohol?
I can do the same thing with water, alcohol, absolutely, watercolor.
So why gesso?
It just, okay. I personally like the gesso because I like to add a lot of texture, and the gesso seems to be a better base for my style than, I love alcohol too. And we all do. No, I like using everything. And today I picked this because I think it's a winner. I think that one can be very successful. And I recycle the gesso with pumice, if I have leftover pumice, and other products to add texture. So
I thought you said hummus for a second there. I was going to make getting hungry.
Oh, well, we need some pita. So what happens is it's a dual thing for me. It becomes, because I know that when I plan my painting from the beginning, my intention, if I know I'm going to use some texture, I will probably dilute, which, as we said, you don't have to dilute. But you can see how lovely it gives you already. There's a beautiful, beautiful drip over here. The trick is not to cover it up with pastels, which some of us are guilty of doing. Now I've done nothing in the sky because I'm going to use just soft pastels in the sky to make a believable gradient sky, which is not going to be done today. And I'll show that some other time. And then I've done the background, which is lighter. Now, we know that because of aerial perspective, as we move from the foreground back, things get bluer, grayer, fuzzier. So I know that if I put the pink here, I can put something that's going to be a cooler color on top because it's still a warm. Even though it could be a green, that's why I picked the pink. Could have been red.
Hey, Eve, good time to take a quick break and give you a chance to get a glass of water, and then we'll come right back. Our guest today is Eve Miller, and she's teaching us the 10 steps to art success, starting out with the basic foundations. So we're here every weekday at 12 noon. We're glad that you're here. You can subscribe to this program by going to YouTube and just looking up Art School Live. Hit the subscribe button. We're trying to get to 100 million, right? So we gotta get to 1 million first. Anyway, we have a free gift for you guys today. And if you love pastel, you're gonna like this free gift. It's 45 pastel pointers from the pros. Just go to pasteltoday.com/ebook. I want to tell you guys about something very, very cool. And today happens to be a deadline day, right? Today at midnight. So pay close attention. We're doing this amazing plein air painting trip, touring and plein air painting to Switzerland. And we're doing the small villages of Switzerland, and it is going to be spectacular. It's the #1 place on our surveys people wanted to go. And already a bunch of people joining us and signed up, but we still have some seats left. We're only 48 seats total available. And it's pleinairswitzerland.com/ASL. We also are going to Lake Como when we finish in Switzerland. It's right there next to it. We're going to paint there, and then we have an optional post-trip to Venice, Italy. This is October 10th through 20th, and then the 20th through the 23rd in Venice. If you want to go today, you can save money. If you get signed up by midnight tonight, you're going to save about $1,000. So it's pretty good opportunity. And these trips are world-class. We do it right. We do things well. We have terrific tour guides with us that are locals, but we also have our own tour guide that travels with us. And we really have a great time. We just got back from Japan a year ago. And now we're going to Switzerland. So we hope that you'll join us. Just go check it out at pleinairswitzerland.com or paintswitzerland.com, whichever you prefer, and /ASL. That would be terrific. Okay, also coming up is the plein air convention. We'll tell you more about that, but let's get back to Eve.
Thank you.
All right, Eve.
Hi. I went to school in Switzerland, so I advise everybody should go.
Okay.
If you look at the top, I usually work from the top down. And what I am going to do is the same thing you've seen. However, instead of the brush being horizontal, I'm going to leave it a little bit vertical. And I'm tapping. I want my soft edges where those branches may be. And I would like some of that, what we initially had, the red underpainting in acrylic to show through. And all I'm doing really is tapping. I haven't even dipped the brush again. And all I'm trying to do is establish a shape, establish a dark shape, even though it's very dense in the photograph. We know they lie. It's much better to just see what you have in front of you and respond. And you had this technique, or another reason I use the gesso. I'm dipping in water and go. It's just to clean the brush and going back into the gesso. Volume. It shows a lot of volume, which I can't seem to equate with water, although they make beautiful drips. Water does great drips. The problem is that the alcohol dries so quickly, which is great outside. It's a technique that doesn't need a whole lot of practice. I think everyone could be successful trying this particular technique. And when I get to the next step, which would be when this is all dry, start putting in my harder pastels to soft. I pick out, my next step would be to pick a palette, which mine tends to be an analogous. That means on the color wheel, which I keep in front of me, 3 or 4 colors that live side next to each other, good neighbors. And they play nicely together. So that's the next thing I would do is set up my palette and proceed to add my pastel. And each time I step back, usually every 3 or 4 strokes, so that I can see what's going on, because close up is totally different. And I'm going to do that distant line right now, but I'm going to clean my brush again. I just don't want to have too much product. You don't need very much. That's another thing. Less is very, it's an economical process, this one. So here we have what appears to be another. Now, the good thing about this, when you first start and you ask about reference, when you're picking your reference, it's good to see big, small. So you have contrast. Diagonals work well because they're more energetic. And when you get to this point, I should be backing up, but I'm not going to, so that I can decide whether or not it needs any more. Okay. Is there any questions?
I don't see any, but if I see any, I'll tell you.
Okay. So this is my process for this particular technique. Eric, if I know how much, I prepared the third one, which is watercolor. So do I have time?
You got time.
Okay, good, good, good. Okay, so what I'm going to do on this particular, let's see, it has to come down a little bit, right? So,
yeah, just bring it down about an inch. Yeah, right there.
okay, right there. Let me then move this so it doesn't fall. All right, good. So if I use watercolor as an underpainting, starting again with trying to create a base for myself to respond to, right? First thing I do is I put my dot, and I go through this each time. I don't skip because I have a routine, which I think is part of finishing as well as starting correctly, meaning that I don't get all frustrated. I want this to be fun. I want it to work. I want to be successful, even if I'm the judge of this. So I have my routine. I have my tick marks in. I have my dot that tells me that nothing should go there. And I'm using a much lighter, still sanded substrate. And this particular third technique uses watercolor. So I'm going to block in with watercolor my 3 to 5 big shapes. I'm using Winsor Newton, which is just a very good watercolor brand. And what I'm going to do is put in 2 colors, and only 2 colors for this. I'm going to use, I could use a lot more watercolored colors if I wanted to, but I'm not going to because I'm keeping it simple for success.
Hey, I have a quick question for you, Eve.
Sure.
Carl's asking, on the other, how long do you let that dry before you apply pastels on top?
With the hair dryer, less than a minute. Without it, maybe 5, maybe 3.
All right.
Very quick, very quick. Yeah. So what I'm doing is I'm going to set myself up using Payne's Gray and burnt sienna. So I have a cool Payne's Gray, which is a beautiful gray. It's a dark gray, but has a tinge of blue. It's biased to blue. And burnt sienna, which is a warm. And I want them to intermingle. But so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure my brush is nice and wet. And I have in front of me a Payne's Gray. It's quite, what do I want to say? Loose. Yeah, it's a
Are we doing
pool
the same image or a different image?
Oh yes, no, same image.
Okay.
That's my point. You can do the same image, 10 different techniques by using my processes. You don't need to have a new reference and go through. You should know, shoulds don't exist. It is wise to have a painting in your head that you know really well, rather than each time go to something new. That's just my own belief. Okay. So I would have loved to still see what I was doing. It would be so nice. Okay, here we go. I'm going to put in my horizon first, and we said it's a high horizon. And I'm going to add some liquid to this. I don't need this to be hard-edged, soft, nature soft. And I'm going to continue with putting in, we had shape up here. And I, same brush, number 6. And it's loose in my hand. I'm tapping, but, and what I'm trying to do is, again, you see how watercolor does not create the volume that gesso did as a comparison. Now, lighter, much, much lighter. I mean, Payne's Gray is a relatively dark, I want to say blue, but it's a gray. So you get a whole different feel to it. And so you respond differently when you're actually going to add pastel over this. What I do love are the drips. Absolutely. Oh, the drips are great. See how nice and dark that is? And then it's going to, what I'm going to do, it's going to dry lighter. Yes. I'm going to clean my brush, and I'm going into the burnt sienna. I should have 2 brushes. One should use 2 different brushes, but we're at the easel. So what I'm going to do is add a little bit of this. And then I say to myself, what if I add this? What's going to happen? Is this going to help or not? And then when I back up and I look at it, I can say, wow, this really needed this warm and cool Totally different technique, totally different process, totally different response. So if I keep going, and let's start over here with the smaller shape, which we know is a tree, but we'll just say shape. And the color, because I'm using the brush that was already dirtied, quote unquote. It's not. It's gorgeous color, absolutely divine, because it mixed with the Payne's gray. And this is what's really nice, is when you can have these kind of beautiful, beautiful drips. Now, I could have, if I wanted to, I could have had another underpainting, but this is one technique I like very much, where I use this as my underpainting. Now, if I were painting this for myself, I might start adding a little bit of other colors, but you don't absolutely need to do that. What you need to know is how much water to put with the. I'm not a watercolorist at all. I'm a pastelist, a landscape pastelist, but I use watercolor to set myself up. Now I need to get that line in there. This is all nice. This is all very nice. So as I keep going around, I can already envision what I want. It's just the way I work. What I'd like to do. I see this scene living here every day, and really what it is the west side. So there's usually a sunset right here. So would I do a gradient sky again? Possibly. At this stage, I can't answer that for myself because I'm still in the process of setting myself up. So I'm responding right now just to what is, this is gorgeous, in my opinion. I shouldn't say that, but this is a beautiful little shape, a gorgeous color.
Well, sometimes we all fall in love with our own work, you know?
Well, geez, if I don't, who's no? No, I have to love what I do because I do it all day long. Every day, it's my thing. Okay, that's going to be kind of my tree line. I might want to soften that a little bit. Now, remember, if you don't like this, when you're doing it, it can easily be enhanced with pastels when we add pastels. Okay, now, the one thing I might decide to do is in this bottom section, if I were painting just this, I might add some pumice in the gesso to give it texture, and I could add color, some acrylic in there, and just put it in here so I have my warm front, because this itself is bringing me in, and I want also to have a place to come in. So we read left to right. So I want your eye, my viewer's eye, to come in from the left here, go like this. And if this is my focal area, get you there. If this is my focal area where I want you to rest, there. And sometimes I have several focal, like supporting actors, let's say. So I can do this. Now, I just, because I happen to really, really enjoy there's a particular color in another, it's not a Winsor Newton, which, and also you don't have to look for the best pastels in the planet when you start. You can use what you can beg and borrow. But this is a nice nature type green, and it'll dry even lighter. But I'm liking how it's bringing you in. It's pushing you in. These are beautiful neutrals, very nice neutrals. So I will keep softening a little bit where I see that the edges are harder. And as I truly believe, everything is soft in nature. You don't get hard edges in nature. And then watercolor dries very, very quickly. And once it's dry, then I would start adding my pastels. And now here's how I respond. This presented itself as a neutral. Well, I would go with that. I would put in beautiful neutrals. I would put in umbers and all kinds of natural, organic colors. And I didn't think about that when I started. All I thought was I'm blocking in and I'm going to have something to respond to. So now I'm excited. I'm ready to, as soon as this is dry, I'm ready to add my pastels and see what my next excitement is going to be.
Just to let you know, you got about 10 more minutes total. Gail wants to know what green you used.
I have a little case. It's a little case, and I'm not famous, so I don't promote anybody or anything. But this little case is called Field Artist, and it's really great for plein air. It's a nice, and it's the green in here, so it looks pretty bright. I am not a person who likes high chroma. I like soft, pretty, not dull, but not high chroma.
Here's another question. What would be the difference between using oil pastels or not as a second layer?
I have never used oil pastels.
Okay. All right. Well, let's keep going because we don't want to run out of time. Okay.
Well, we don't have much more to go unless I'm going to add pastels.
Oh, you're not going to show putting pastel over the acrylic?
Oh, well, that wasn't the plan, but I would love to, Eric. Would you like me to go back to that?
Show a little of that. That'd be great.
Absolutely. Okay. All right.
There's never a plan here. We always violate plans.
Oh, well, that's not good. You want me to do a gradient sky?
Whatever you want to do on there.
Okay, well, I like teaching gradient skies because people have trouble coming up with something that they really can say is believable. They want to put in big pink clouds. So if I'm doing a gradient sky, I've got this cute little box that has particular colors and no particular brands. I go by the warms and cools and the same values in this section. So I would, and this is the only time that I blend. I blend my big letter A for adultery of pastels. I do blend my skies, nothing else, because they work and I have to make it work. So I like this tape I keep back here also. I don't like my corners to be covered. So I put a triangular piece of tape on the back and then come across on the front. So all my corners are exposed, which brings me to the point that a good check for everybody, no matter what level, all four corners are, quote, supposed to be different. Okay? They're supposed to be different. But I like it because I can test it. So I see right away, that's a little light. We don't want it quite that light. So let's see.
Tatiana is asking, can you give advice on framing pastels and sealing the artwork without a frame? Any precautions? Do you use fixative?
Oh boy, this is a loaded question. Okay, first of all, I frame my own because I'm involved in many places, and so I've learned how to do that myself. The way I frame for shows and things to ship, if it won't take museum glass, I get museum acrylic, true value usually. Again, I'm nothing to do with true value. So if I'm going into a gallery that I have to ship to, I use museum glass and put a skin on it and put it into an airfoot box and do it that way, or get in the car and deliver. I don't use fixative, although I have a process that I do like where I use it as part of the process, never as a finished layer. But because we know, it is said that it darkens. Sometimes it's good if the pastel, you're at the end of your work and it looks good, but I put it back in black and white and it's not dark enough, I could spray it with fixative and go back in again and still have my top layer be soft pastels. I'll use it that way.
Tatiana is asking, what is a skin?
It's a rolled, it's like, think of a paper towel, but it comes in different sizes, and it's thin like a skin, like your skin would be. It's a like a not a plastic. It's pliable
and that
layer.
just keeps the glass from breaking.
It's from breaking, but it'll still shatter if UPS throws it around.
All right. Let's continue with the sky.
We're on to the sky. We're doing it. So this is just a little bit lighter than the other that was on top. And to show the difference, I could put a little bit darker too. Let's see. I just always test it. See, that's way too dark because it has, where's it going to go? It's going to go on here. If it was going on the white, it always is different. Always test. It's a good thing to do. This is a little darker, and I could have put that first. So at this, I still didn't blend anything. I'm going to put some of this teal. This is a little bit dark. But that said, I'm going to put a little bit of this. There's a lot of green in the sky anyhow. A little bit of this. And then I'm getting close to the horizon here. So I know I'm going to have some, this is just the same values, even this, as dark as that is, because it'll be blended. You'll see it'll blend fine. And the last one, which would be, this is my, very nice. And then as soon as I put it in one spot, I'm going to have to put it someplace else for color harmony. Okay, so if I put this down, and I don't want to bleed, obviously. So I'm only going to lightly. And then I'd have to clean my hands and all that stuff. But you have a believable sky. Now where that is right there, I might start when I get to that section and go back and take, this happens to be a dark greenish color. Not greenish, it's green. And cover that up. So that's how I would do it.
Awesome. Applause, applause.
Ta-da!
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 Okay, come
Sign
back on
up.
camera so everybody can meet you real quickly. You did a great job. Thank you, Eve.
Oh,
Our
my
guest today
pleasure.
is Eve Miller. Eve is going to be on Pastel Live coming up in, when is that, November? I don't know.
September.
Oh, September. I should know that. September 17th through 19th, once school starts again. So that's going to be all online, 4 days, including Essential Techniques Day on the 16th. Some of the best pastel artists in the world are going to be teaching you, and you do not want to miss it. It's going to be spectacular. So thank you, Eve. We can't see you.
Thank you for having me.
We can't.
I'm
there
right
you
here.
are.
But my face is so big being close.
Yeah. Well, nice job today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. We learned a lot. That was good. That was very valuable. Nice. I had never seen that done with gesso with pastel before. So every day on this program, we learn something new. Speaking of learn something new, there's a brilliant artist by the name of 𝗃𝗄𝗏 𝗠𝗶𝗃. You've probably heard of her. She's spectacular. And we decided we're going to do a little interview thing with her. That is coming up on Thursday at 2 p.m. I got to sign up for it, but it's free. Just go to streamlinedartevents.com/𝗠𝗏. All right, sign up. That's Thursday at 2 p.m. It's a rare interview to discuss her motivations, inspirations, and her passion for art. And I'll be interviewing her, so make sure you're here for that. That's terrific. I mentioned earlier the plein air convention is coming up. Let's play this real quickly. Every artist deserves a chance to discover what they're truly capable of. This is yours. Join the world's top painters for 5 days of immersive learning, creativity, and connection in the most picturesque regions of Lake Tahoe and Reno.
I enjoy the scenery, I enjoy the locations, and I enjoy meeting people.
With hands-on coaching, 5 stages, plus daily painting sessions and a community of passionate creators, you'll grow your skills like never before.
It's a wonderful experience. I mean, it's a wealth of information. I got personal instruction from 𝗘𝗃𝗲 𝗦𝘂𝗲. Do you believe that? I'm so excited.
It's just awesome to hear other people talk about painting.
At PACE, you're not just learning, you're connecting. Build lifelong friendships with like-minded artists who share your passion. This is where ideas spark, creativity flourishes, and your next breakthrough begins.
I would say just go for it.
As long as I'm living and able, I will come to these. Just sign up and go.
Don't wait, seats are limited. Join us at the Plein Air Convention and Expo in Lake Tahoe and Reno. Secure your spot now. So we believe that anybody can learn to paint. We believe, yes, even you, if you don't know how to do it, we believe it's a process, not a natural gift. And we have all kinds of things to support you in that. We have a website called painttube.tv, and we have hundreds of full-length professionally produced art instruction courses there from the world's leading artists. Just check it out at painttube.tv/ASL. If you want to learn to paint, start here on this program. Just watch any 5. We think that will give you the inspiration that you say, you know what, I can do this. And we have heard from hundreds of thousands of people who have learned to paint on this program. We've now had millions of views. We're really excited that you guys are here. We're here every weekday at 12 noon. To subscribe to this program, go to YouTube and hit the subscribe button. Look up Art School Live, hit subscribe, and then please give a follow on all social media. That would be great. My name's Eric Rhodes. Spell it correctly, though. Otherwise, you'll get somebody else. And we will be here again tomorrow. Again, thank you to Eve Miller for being here. Fabulous instruction today. I learned a lot. And we hope you did too. All right. Have a great day. Bye-bye.